Hi everyone. This is Mr. Ban, and I usually run the gym during Wednesday Club, and I'm the council's representative to the Education Board. And I'm here today to reach out to our families, young and old, and just um, reconnect with everyone through the Education Board and let everyone know that the church is still alive and well, and give an opportunity for our young families and our not so young families to um, connect with the church. I'm going to read for you today an excerpt from the Easter story. I've chosen to focus mostly on Easter itself rather than on the events leading up to Easter. So I'm going to start after the events of Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday. It was early in the morning on the third day after Jesus died. The sky was pink and red with the first light of the sun. The women didn't notice the sky. They hurried to the cave that contained Jesus' body. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, led the way. Two others, Salome and Joanna, carried the spice to rub on the body of Jesus. They had a job to do. Now, this was a very typical behavior. A lot of times, after somebody had passed away, they would visit the tomb and spread spices on them to help the body smell a little better. When the tomb of Jesus came into sight, they froze. Uh-oh, they had forgotten about the huge stone that sealed the opening to the cave. How would they move it? The women kept going to the cave anyway. As they came closer, the women could see that the stone had already been rolled away. They peeked inside. Oh, it was dark in there. Brr, it was cold in there. Drip, drop, it was damp in there too. So, a lot of times back in the day of Jesus, when people died, they buried them in caves in the rocks on the side of hills and mountains, rather than burying them in the ground like we do today. And to keep the caves closed, they would put a large rock in front of the cave. But when the ladies came and expected to see this rock sitting on the cave, instead they found that the rock was already rolled away. Then, when they looked inside, the tomb was empty. Jesus was gone. An angel appeared to the women in sparkling white clothes. The glow from the angel brightened even the darkest corners of the cave. The women shielded their eyes from the blinding light. "Don't be afraid," the angel said. "Jesus isn't here. This is a place for the dead. Jesus is alive." "Hurry," the angel said. "Go tell the disciples." The women did not delay. They ran to tell Jesus' friends what they had seen and heard. How astonishing would it be to come to a grave site where somebody you loved was and find out that their body was gone? It would be scary, I think. And then after, an angel would tell you that they've come back to life. That would be exciting and scary at the same time, I think. Oof, Mary bumped into a man, tripped and fell at his feet. Wait, she knew those feet. A familiar hand reached out to help her. Wait, she knew that hand. She looked up. Yes, she knew that smile. It was Jesus. "Hello, friends," Jesus said. Jesus was really alive. The women hugged his feet and shouted with joy. "Go tell the others the good news that I'm alive," Jesus said. "I will meet them in Galilee. I can't wait to see them again." The women had a new job to do. They had to tell everyone that Jesus was alive. 3 days after Jesus died, Cleopas and his friend were slowly walking down the road to Emmaus. They were walking slowly because they felt sad. Why did Jesus have to die, they wondered. After a while, a stranger began to walk alongside them. The stranger was really Jesus, but Cleopas and his friend did not know it. "What are you talking about?" the stranger asked. The men looked at each other. "Are you the only person in town that doesn't know what has happened?" they asked. They told the stranger what had happened to Jesus. "Jesus was a great teacher," Cleopas said. "We had hoped he was the one that God promised would save the world, but instead he died on a cross. We took Jesus' body down and put it in a tomb. This morning our friends went to the tomb, but Jesus' body was gone. They said there was an angel there instead. The angel told our friends Jesus is alive, but—" "Stop being silly," the stranger said. "How many times do you need to hear this? It was God's plan for Jesus to die and become alive again and save the world." By now they were almost to Emmaus. Cleopas invited the stranger to stay for dinner. During dinner, the stranger picked a loaf of bread, broke it, and blessed it, and gave it to each man a piece. And all of a sudden, they realized that the stranger was in fact Jesus. But as soon as they did, Jesus disappeared. He and his friend jumped up from the room and went out to tell the rest of Jesus' disciples that Jesus really was alive. God kept his promise. So the disciples in this story were walking with Jesus and talking with him on the road, but they didn't realize it was him until he offered them bread, just like at the Last Supper. The disciples were hiding in a house that night, and Jesus rose from the night that Jesus rose from the dead. They were afraid. Bam, they all locked the doors. Jesus came and stood by them. "Peace be with you," he said. The disciples looked up in surprise. Jesus showed them his hands and his side so that they would know it was him. The disciples were very happy. Again, Jesus said to them, "Peace be with you. God has sent me to you. Now it's your turn to go and tell the rest of the world about me." Jesus breathed on them a very special way. He said, "With this breath I will always be in your hearts. Even when I'm in heaven, you now have the power to do things I have asked you to do." I think it's very important to discuss the fact that the disciples were very afraid. People had just killed their leader, Jesus, and they were scared. They were scared to even go out of the house. But when Jesus came to them, he told them, "You need to not only go out of the house, but you need to go tell everyone about me." And Mr. Ben is not recommending that you leave your house right now because we're in our state of social distancing. But that doesn't mean that we can't spread the love and joy of God in our own way. If you have an opportunity to reach out to friends or grandparents or aunts and uncles through phone calls or letters, now would be a wonderful time to spread the good news and joy that you being in their lives brings, and that joy that Jesus has brought to us. And I hope that this short little opportunity to read the part of the Easter story to you was a good way for me to reach out to all of you and spread Christ's love and joy through this trying time.